In the dark shadows, in the white cold, fearlessly we search for knowledge new and old. We drink the strong spirits and read ancient tomes, the order of the Abercast. We are the brave and bold.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Stigmata Studios presents The Jinn Jihad. The Jinn Jihad kicks your face with myths, mysteries, epic battles, suicide bombers, quirky characters, and divine power armor. In this epic graphic novel, the warrior archangels descend on a city in chaos. It's all-out war. The non-standard assembly battles an ancient terrorist organization and their ultimate weapon, a corrupted, magically enhanced, unstoppable monster, the Jinn. This graphic novel is a wild ride. It's one part distant Arab myth, one part Old Testament angelic vengeance, and one part unique heroic tough guys. Available on Amazon. Get more info on the Jinn Jihad and other titles at stigmatastudios.com.
Yo, what's up, you guys? I'm using my light now. So I just wanted to show you guys how to do summon your demon, okay? And with Astaroth, it's better to do it at night, especially if you're a beginner, which I am. But okay. See, I don't know if you guys can see this, but I know for a fact my demon is here right now because there is sigil. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's blinking and stuff. It looks awesome. Yeah, Astaroth, if you're here, I know I kind of feel your presence just a little bit. Feel like being watched, but oh well. Alright, so you're gonna light your 4 candles, okay? And you're gonna chant your demon's his/her name 5 to 10 times. Then you're going to recite just heads up, this is actual thing, okay? Here it is. Okay, that's what
It says, Lord Satan, by your grace, grant... It's handwritten, so I think this is what it says. Grant me, I pray, in thy power, and to conceive in my mind, and to execute that which I desire to do, the end which I would attain by thy help, Almighty Satan, on the one true God, who livest and reignest forever and ever. I entreat thee to inspire, quote, name of demon, unquote, to manifest before me, that he or she may give me true and faithful answer, so that I may accomplish my... His fingers are kind of in the way. Maybe accomplish my... distinguished end, provided that it is proper that he, her, in this, I respectfully and humbly, Humbully, in your one Lord Satan, may you deem me worthy, Father.
it is, alright? Just leave it on there for a little bit more, okay? If you want to, pause the video, do whatever you want, okay? Yeah, you're going to chant that, and then your demon shall appear. I recommend saying their name, and I also recommending a scent that your demon likes, okay? That's the best thing to do. I mean, you can always research this stuff. Alright, and then here I want to show you some other ones. Alright, so like there's Beelzebub. Of course you have, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but it's right here. He's you can do a money spell with him. Then that's the one where I just writing. See, I had to practice it because then there's Vine, Asmodeus, Dagon, Paimon, and Belial. It's all I have. Alright. Yeah, I recommend getting a black book. You can get this at $4.50 up at Walmart. I'm sorry this thing looks like crap, but to me it doesn't look like that. It's just the light on it makes it look like that. And it'll be gone because I literally just did that. So I used something called stitching. It's like a fake suture thing. Yeah, so for this I recommend darker candles, but I didn't have a dark candle, so I had this one, so I just used this one. Alright guys, just want to tell you that I honestly recommend working with Astroth or Azazel. Extremely powerful demons. They're awesome. I honestly really do like them. Just I've researched so much about them. So yeah, there's his sigil. Alright guys, well, I'm gonna let you go. If you guys want, just remember, if you guys want to do this, don't be scared. These guys, promise you, they're not gonna hurt you. The only time that they'd hurt you is if you don't treat them with respect, okay? Just want to get that up to you now, alright? So, bye guys. Have fun. Do whatever you need to do, okay? This will help you, I promise. Anything. Any sigil that you want, summon any demon, okay? Alright guys. Bye.
The Abracast. Occult. History. Conspiracy. Violence.
That kid made it sound pretty easy. What's going to wind up taking me over 3 hours to explain, seems like it was pretty cut and dry with that kid. You know, if you didn't have the right color candle, just substitute it with a pastel green one. You know, while you're in your sweat shorts in your mom's basement. Welcome to the Abracast, episode 81. This is the Lesser Key of Solomon, part 3, and I'm feeling like a prisoner. I'm like, it's been 3 days that I've been recording this episode or this topic, and all I want to do is be free of it. So before we get going, I just want to remind everybody I got a call out to musicians. I'm looking for some music to play at the end of some shows, so hit me up on towers113@gmail.com. just like a link to your Bandcamp or something would be fine, or like a link to whatever, Dropboxes, whatever. Also want to remind everybody, it's not often that a podcast will just give you 3 hours of content a week. It's a monument to my insanity is what it is. So, if you guys want to help me out in any kind of way, you can do so free. There's ways that you can help me out that's just free to you. You can hit up iTunes and rate and review the show, or wherever you get it. You can rate and review the show. That helps me get new listeners. And I mean, come on, we just broke our personal record last month, so let's go. Let's fucking hit it up, Abercastians. You can tell friends about it. Also, a great way to support the show is obviously to buy some of the comic books that you'll be hearing about over the next hour or so. That's the best way to support the show, because it helps me fucking buy stuff. And helps me justify it in my brain why I'm giving up all the research, all the reading, plus the 3 hours it's going to take me to record this thing by when the smoke clears. Helps me kind of justify why I'm taking time out of doing this rather than doing that. Even though in my mind it's linked, it's all the same fucking thing, but whatever. I'm fighting deadlines, bro. I'm fighting deadlines. Today, this weekend, this episode, these 3 episodes, wildly spun out of control. So I'm far behind on everything. And here it is Sunday night. I'm trying to get this done so I can upload it so it'll be there on Monday for you guys, for everybody. My little Abercastinites. I don't know. What do you think? Which do you like better? I don't know. So, since this is episode 3, it's kind of like a prerequisite. You should go back and listen to the first 2 episodes. However, I will provide a small summary once we get rolling here, what's going on. Just also help me get my shit under control as far as where we are with this, because like I said, I got notes. I'm balls deep up here in notes. From standing, it's up to my balls. The notes are up to my balls. So those are great ways to support the show. Call out the musicians. I want to hear, please help me out with some music if you are inclined, if you want to. That's it. So the kid on the video, the channel is called Chaos Magic and More. How to Summon a Demon the Real Satanic Way. He makes it seem pretty easy. As opposed to Solomon, the method of the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is real complicated. It might not seem like that, but if you have to take into account all the reading you have to do, how far out you have to start preparing for these things. So let's go. Let's just do like a quick overview. So first of all, you have to have a command or a question or a request to ask one of these demons. And then you have to figure out which demon is the entity that you should do the asking or the requesting from. Each demon has its own specialty and its own list of idiosyncratic quirks. So the way that you do this is you go to sacred texts, or you buy the Lesser Key of Solomon and you consult the Shema Mufarash. And that is like a catalog. That's like the Tinder for these sorts of things. It tells you which demons can do what and how their rank is and their office. And that is all to help you do to go and do the observations. And that just means you figure out what role your demon is, and then you have to make a seal with your demon's sigil, and it depends on what title he uses as to what you have to manufacture this sigil out of. And then you have to figure out your calendar. You got to look at your calendar, because you got to be like, okay, some demons should only be called from 9 to 12 o'clock. and then from 3 to sunset. Some you can call any day, any time, as long as it's clear weather. Some you can call at any time, and others only until sunrise, until 4, or 4 until sunset. So, there's a whole, like, I kind of explain it like it's like a combination lock. Like, you got to figure out, like, how to twist it to get all of the points lined up. So, after the observations, we talked a lot last episode about the magic circle and what your magic circle has to do. And I also presented to you a point of purchase for a guy who's selling Gnostic Shaman hermetical Solomonic magic circles. It wasn't quite like that. But yeah, so, and then we talked about the magic triangle, or the triangle of manifestation. Like when you see Gaga or Jay-Z with making the triangle over the eye, that's what they're doing. They're emulating the triangle of manifestation. And then we talked about the other things that you have to do, or you should do, to avoid being sloppy. And those are things like you have to create a seal of Solomon that you have to wear on you during your ritual or operation. And then there was the other magical requisites that you had to do. I feel like I'm skipping one. Hold on. Oh, then there was the pentagram, the hexagram of Solomon, the pentagram of Solomon. The magic ring to help against poisons and sulfur, the vessel of brass in case you need to bind a motherfucker up. And then you actually get started. The secret seal, and then the other magical requisites, and then you actually get started, and you start the spell casting with the preliminary invocation, which I read as a cold open for episode 79. It's pretty heavy metal, and then you have to kind of ritually clean yourself. Perfumes in a chafing dish with charcoal, and you have to have the other items like your wand and your candles and all this stuff inside the magic circle with you already. And then while you are cleaning yourself, you have to do this adoration of the bath, which is where we left off. We're starting to get into the actual this is revving the engine, and we're getting ready to jump into the actual summoning. So the adoration of the bath goes: Thou shalt purge me with hyssop, O Lord, and I shall be clean. Thou shalt wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. And at the putting on of thy garments, thou should say, the adoration at the indoing of the vestments. And then you say, by the figurative mystery of these holy vestures, I will clothe me with the armor of salvation and the strength of the Most High. Anchor, Amacor, Amides, Thedonius, Anitor, that my desired end may be effected through thy strength, O Adonai, to whom the praise and glory will forever belong. Amen. And after thou hast done so, make prayers unto God according unto thy work, as Solomon hath commanded. So, after you are ritually cleansed, you have to put on all this armor of your salvation that we talked about. These guys wear, if initiate, like, unless you're like super kind of used to this sort of thing, you would do a white robe, and that just shows that you're flashing your gang sign that you're still kind of innocent. The robe goes from white to black. But as an initiate, we should all be wearing white robes right now. And you're within your magic circle. You're safe. You're ritually bathed. You have your pentagram, your hexagram. You have your ring. You have everything you need. You have your triangle of manifestation is to the east, and you are ready to get it on. You want some? You want to get some? Come and get some. Because we're about to come and get some right after this. We're gonna do the conjuration to call forth any of the aforesaid spirits right after this, folks. you guys ready for this? The conjuration to call forth any of the aforesaid spirits. So remember, we already did all the shit that I talked about for the last 2 hours. It's already done. We picked our Tinder demon. We know what he needs to do. We're just hypothetically speaking. We're on the right date. We're on the right phase of the moon. We're on the right day of the lunar cycle. We're on the right time of the solar cycle. We have our vestments and we have all this stuff and we're ready to go. We're in our magic circle. The lights are off. Your ritual space is lit by candlelight. You're in your robe with your vestments. You have your magic ring. You have your brass container. You have all your protection. And then you start. I do invocate and conjure thee, O spirit, glassa laboles. And being with power armed from the supreme majesty, I do strongly command thee, by Bur Alan Emesis, Baldachenesis, Pumachia, and the Apollo J. Cetes, by the most powerful princes, genies, Lycides, and the ministers of the Tartarian abode, and by the chief prince of the seed of Apologia, and the 9th legion, I do evoke thee. And by evoking, conjure thee, and being armed with the power of supreme majesty, I do command thee, by him who spake. And it was done, and unto whom all creatures be obedient. Also I shall be made after the image of God, endued with power from God, and created according unto his will, do exercise thee by that most mighty and powerful name of God. El, strong and wonderful, O thou spirit, Glacia Lebelis, I command thee, and him who spake the word, and his fiat was accomplished. And by all the names of God, and by the names of Adoni, El, Elohim, Elohai, Elohe, Asher, Eaha, Zeboeth, Elon, I, the Tetragrammaton, Shade, the Lord God Most High, I do exercise thee, and do powerfully command thee, O Spirit, Glacia Laboles, that thou dost forthwith appear unto me before the circle in a fair human shape, without deformity or tortuosity. And by this ineffable name, the Tetragrammaton Ihovah, do I command thee. At the which being heard, the elements are overthrown, and the air is shaken, the sea runneth aback, and the fire is quenched, and the earth trembleth. And all the host of celestials, terrestrials, and infernals do tremble together, and are troubled and confounded, wherefore come thou, O Spirit, Glacia Labolis, forthwith and without delay, from any or all parts of the world, wherever thou mayest be, and make rational answers unto all things that I shall demand of thee. Come forth peacefully, visibly, and affably now, and without delay, manifesting that which I shall desire. For thou art conjured by the name of the living and true God, Helo-Orien. Therefore fulfill my commandments, and persist thou therein unto the end, and according unto mine interest, visibly and affably speaking unto me with a voice clear and intelligible, without ambiguity. Repeat this conjuration as often as thou pleaseth, and if the spirit not come yet, say as followeth. Okay, so I have a couple things to say that I just realized I haven't said quite yet. And that is, with this armor of salvation and these magic rings and all these robes and pentagrams and stuff that these people wear, and the candles and the incense and the magic swords and all of this stuff, I kind of think, I think Grant Morrison talks about this. I'm sure he does. But I kind of think, like, a lot of it is just to get your brain synced up to, like, rev up your imagination and fucking just to get it going. Like, if you're sitting there and you're like, I got this fucking magic sword right here in case the shit goes down, and I got my wand, and, like, everything is dark and kind of, like, spooky anyways. Like, I believe it's a way to, like, get your mind going in a way that makes it susceptible for you to have these kind of encounters, right? So, and speaking like this, like with the these and the theys, and talking about the tetragrammatrons and the Lord God Most High and all this stuff, like, I think it's like a way just to, like, get you going and get you revved up, and I kind of thought about that when I was watching this kid summoning his demon on YouTube in his bare feet and his bicycle or his basketball shorts and stuff. And I'm like, this kid's he has, like, some candles lit, like, as a function of the operation, but it's not the lighting the candles and, like, the sigil and stuff. It's not doing what it's supposed to do because it's not affecting this kid's sort of perception. You know what I mean? And that's also why magicians will also tell you. Some magicians will also tell you, not like I hang out with a bunch of magicians, but, you'll find, like, the train of thought of, like, you should not be on mind-altering drugs when you're doing these things. And I kind of don't agree with that. I think a healthy respect for some mind-altering drugs might really let you pay off if you're doing this sort of shit. I think it would really kind of grease the wheels of reality for you if you're in the middle of an operation, like in an operation or a ritual like this. That's just me, though. Like, what do I know? I'm a writer with a podcast. You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get into the second conjuration. I know this thing says keep repeating it, but it also goes on to if your demon's not listening to you or not manifesting to you in his little magic triangle or whatever, it tells you what to do next. You go on to a second conjuration, which is like a conjuration where you use strong language, bros. Strong language. This is gonna be right after that. The second conjuration. I do invoke, conjure, and command thee, O spirit, Glacia Labolis, to appear and to show thyself visibly unto me before this circle in a fair and comely shape, without any deformity or tortuosity, by the name and in the name of Aya and Veau, which Adam heard and spake, in the name of God, Egla, and the which Lot heard and was saved with his family, in the name Ioeth, which Jacob heard from the angel wrestling with him, and was delivered from the hand of Esau his brother, in the name Anaphextation, with Aaron, which Aaron heard and spake and was made wise, by the name Zaboeth, which Moses named, and all of the rivers were turned into blood, and by the name of Asher, Ioway, and Oriston, which Moses named, and all the rivers brought forth frogs, and they ascended unto houses, destroying all things, by the name of Elion, which Moses named, and there was a great hail, such as not been had since the beginning of the world, and by the name Odonai, which Moses named, and there came upon locust, which appeared upon the whole of the land, and devoured all which the hail had left. And by the name Shema and Amatha, which Joshua called upon, and the sun stayed his course. And by the name Alpha and Omega, which Daniel named, and destroyed Bel, and slew the dragon, And in the name Emmanuel, which the three children Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego sang in the midst of the fiery furnace and were delivered, in the name Hagios, and by the seal of Odani, and Isakros, Anthios, Parslatos, and O Theos, Iktros, Anthatos, and by the name these secret names Egilion, Tetragrammaton, Tetragrammaton. I always try to make him into a transformer. Tetragrammaton. Do I adjure and constrain thee, and by these names, and by all other names of the living and true God and Almighty, I do exercise and command thee, O Spirit, Glacia Labolis, even by him who spake the word, and it was done, in whom all creatures are obedient, in all the dreadful judgments of God, and by the uncertain sea of glass, which is before the divine majesty, mighty and powerful, by the four beasts before the throne, and having eyes before and behind, and by the fire around each throne, and the holy angels of heaven, and by the mighty wisdom of God, I do potently exercise thee. Thou appearest here before this circle to fulfill my will of all things which shall seem good unto me, by the seal Bazdothia, Baldachia, and by the name Prime Pneumation, which Moses named, and the earth opened and did swallow up Korah, Dathan, Abraham, without wherefore thou shalt make faithful answers unto my demands, O Spirit, Glacia Labolis, and shall perform all of my desire, so far as in thine office thou art capable hereof. Wherefore come now visibly, peacefully, and infallibly, now without delay, to manifest that which I desire, speaking with a clear and perfect voice, intelligibly, and to my understanding. If he come not yet at the rehearsal of these first two conjugations, then without a doubt he will say on as forthwith, it being a constraint. So if he didn't show up yet, he's really going to show up next time. And we're going to get into this constraint. Constraint. Alright, so if you've tried the first two conjurations, and this guy's not getting back to you, he's like, stop telephoning me. Dun, 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 dun. It's my favorite song they gonna play. So he's not answering his calls. So you really want to get rough with him. That's another thing, is this kid in the video that we listened to at the top of the show, he's like, just be respectful of them. And that's true. I guess you want to be respectful from them. But like reading through this stuff, it's like you're the magic circle, the part of the magic circle you're standing in, the middle of it is the square of the master. You know, they're not being like, hey bros, can you please come down so we can talk about my hair. Astaroth, what do you think about my man bun? Like, it's not that. It's like, bitch, over here. Boom! Like, I guess you could be respectful, like, probably not call him a bitch. That's probably the wrong fucking thing to do. But, you have to, like, you are commanding them. The whole point of you calling them is so you can fucking get them to do something for you. And you're not asking them. You're not making a bargain. This isn't Faust. Like, Faustian deals are made, when you summon demons, when you're like, okay, well, I will give you this if I can get your soul or whatever. That's not Solomon's deal, bro. Solomon's deal wasn't about Solomon's scenario was not about making a deal. Solomon's scenario was making these fuckers do what you need them to do. It said the Kabbalah and like Hebrew legends and stuff that Solomon commanded these genies or these demons, whatever, depends on, I guess, the idiom in which you are working on, but he commanded them to build his temple. Imagine just this guy with his magic ring just lording over this demonic workforce to build a temple to God. Like, it's crazy. So you have to take that kind of into consideration, right? Like, he's not like, can you please come over here so we can talk? Here, I'm just going to go to this book, my Encyclopedia of Occultism by Lewis Spence, real fast. They have a prodigious article of Solomon written in here, but I'm just going to skip here. The following tradition is narrated by the Mohammedan commentators relative to the building of the Temple of Jerusalem. According to them, David laid the foundations of it and when he died, he left it to be finished by Solomon. That prince employed jinn and not men in the work. And this idea probably originated from what is said in the first book of Kings, that the temple was built of stone made ready before it was brought thither, so that there was neither hammer nor axe nor tools of iron heard in the house while it was being built. And the rabbis noticed a worm which they pretend assisted the workmen, to the power of which was such a cause for the rocks and stones to separate in chiseled blocks. Solomon, while engaged in the erection of the temple, found his end approaching, and he prayed that his death might be concealed from the jinn until the building was finished. His request was granted, and he died in the act of praying and leaning upon his staff, which supported his body in that posture for a whole year. And the jinn who supposed him... this type is small. I'm getting old. Supposed him to be alive, continued their work, and the expiration of the year and the edifice was complete when a worm which had entered the staff and ate through it. And to the amazement of even the jinn, the body fell to the ground, and the king was discovered to be dead. So that doesn't really talk about his magic ring or whatnot, but let's say what level of deceit he was willing to go through to get these fucking genies to finish building his temple. They hit the spot. All right, so we're going to get back into this constraint. So you read the first conjuration, you read the second conjuration, and this guy still is not answering his phone. If he come not yet in the rehearsal of these first two conjurations, but no doubt he will, say on as followeth, it being a constraint. I do conjure thee, O spirit Glacialabolus, by all the most glorious and efficacious name of the most great and incomprehensible Lord God of hosts. And thou comest quickly and without delay from all parts and places of the earth and the world, wherever thou mayest be. Make rational answers unto my demands, and thou visibly and affably speaking with the voice intelligent unto mine, understanding as aforesaid, I conjure and constrain thee, O spirit Glacialabolus, by all the names aforesaid, in the addition of these 7 great names, wherewith Solomon the wise bound thee and thy companions in a vessel of brass. Adonai, Prei, or Perii, Tetragrammaton, Anaphexiton, Anaphentiton, in Centifatol, and in Incentifatol, Pathumion, and Idamon. And thou appearest here before this circle to fulfill my will in all things that seem good to me. And if thou still be so disobedient and refused still to come, I will, in the power of the name of the supreme and everlasting Lord God, who created both thee and me and all the world in 6 days, and it was constrained herein, Aya, Sarah, and the power of this name, Prime Unitin, with commandeth the whole host of heaven, curse thee and deprive thee of thine office, joy, and palace, and bind thee in the depths of the bottomless pit or abyss, there to remain until the day of last judgment, and I will bind thee in eternal fire, and into the lake of flame and brimstone, unless thou comest quickly, and appearest here before me in this circle to do my will. Therefore come now, in and the holy names of Adonai, Zaboeth, Adonai, Amoran, come now, for it is Adonai who commandeth thee. And if thou hast come thus far, and he yet appeareth not, thou mayest be sure that he is sent unto some other place by his king, and cannot come. And if that be so, you can invocate the king as here followeth, and send him. But if he do not come still, then thou mayest be sure that he is bound in the chains of hell, and that he is not in the custody of his king. If so, and thou still hast a desire to call him, even from thence thou must rehearse this general curse, which is called the spirits of chains, and followeth therefore invocating of the king. So hold on, we're gonna get into this catch-22 here right after this. All right, so we did a conjuring, the second conjuring in the constraint. And the idea is if your demon doesn't show up still, that means that his king has sent him on a task, and he's got to obey his king first. Or if he doesn't show up, that means some other wizard has chained him up in the lake of fire, and he can't get out to answer your summons or your conjuring. So if your dude doesn't show up after this, there's a reason. His boss or king sent him somewhere. So the next step naturally is to summon and curse the king demon. But for the sake of this talk, let's just assume that your demon did show up at this time. And if you guys want like expanded readings into this, or you want to know like how to summon the king demons and how to curse them using this spirits chain, just get the Lesser Key of Solomon. It explains it right there. Kind of. It sort of explains it. So say that your demon does show up after you do the constraint. He shows up and he's like, all right, Jesus Christ, I was just doing a number 2. Like, I couldn't just get away. I can't just leave whenever. Like, I had to wrap that up in there. And you're like, all right, bro, cool, all right. So you address the demon. You address him upon his coming. This is the address unto the spirit upon his coming. You say, behold thy confusion. If thou refusest to be obedient, behold the pinnacle of Solomon, which I have brought here before thy presence. Behold the person of the exorcist in the midst of the exorcism, him who is armed by God and without fear, him who potentially invocateth thee and calleth thee forth unto appearance, even him, thy master, who is called Octanemos. Wherefore make rational answers unto my demands, and prepare to be obedient unto thy master in the name of the Lord. Bathal or Vatat, rushing upon Abrak, Erebor coming before her bear. Then he or they will be obedient and bid thee ask what thou wilt. For he or they subjected by God to fulfill our destiny commands, and when he or they shall have appeared and showed himself or themselves humble and meek, then thou shalt rehearse. This is the welcome unto the Spirit. Welcome, Spirit Glacia Labelas, O most notable king or kings. I say thou art welcome unto me, because I have called thee through him who has created heaven and earth and hell, and all that is in them contained, and because thou hast obeyed by that same power by which I have called thee forth, bind thee, and thou remain affably and visibly here before this circle, and in this triangle, so constant and so long as I shall have an occasion for thy presence, and not to depart without my license, until thou hast duly and faithfully performed my will without any falsity. Then, by standing in the midst of the circle, thou shalt stretch forth thine hand in a gesture of command, and say, By time, Pentacle of Solomon, I have called thee, and give unto me a true answer. How do I get my podcast listeners to rate and review the Abracast? And then the exorcist states his desired request. By time, Pentacle of Solomon, I have called thee, give unto me the true answer. How do I get my podcast listeners to rate and review the Abracast? And when the evocation is finished, thou shalt license the spirit to depart thus. This is the license to depart. O thou Glacia Labelis, because thou hast diligently answered unto my demands, and hast been very ready and willing to come at my call, I do here license thee depart until thy proper place. Without causing harm or danger unto man or beast, depart then, I say, and be thou very ready to come at my call, being duly exercised and conjured by the sacred rites of magic. I charge thee to withdraw peacefully and quietly, and the peace of God will ever be continued between thee and me. Amen. After thou hast given the spirit license to depart, thou art not to go out of the circle until he or they be gone, and until thou shalt have made prayers, rendered thanks unto God, and the great blessings he hath bestowed upon thee, and granting thy desires, and delivering thee from all the malice and enemy of the devil. Also note, thou mayest command these spirits into the vessel of brass, in the same manner as thou dost into the triangle, by saying that thou dost forthwith appear before this circle and in this vessel of brass in a fair and comely shape, etc., etc., as hath been shown in foregoing conjurations. Whew. So there you have it, everybody. That's how to summon a demon. This is the Abracast, episodes 79, 80, and 81. I hope you guys had fun. I did have fun recording this. I underestimated how dense and how much reading there was. So I'm sorry also that it stretched into 3 episodes, but hopefully that'll help you guys soak in more Abracastiness this week, or whenever you're listening to this. Sometime in the future, in the not too distant future. Oh, before I let you guys off the hook, I kind of, between the first and second conjuration, I kind of went off book a little bit to talk about like my feelings about these sort of things, like how it might be like what I was kind of talking about was these items or these rituals or whatever might be like a way of like deep psychology or plumbing, one's own subconscious or something like that. So I thought that I would go back and read this. Okay, so I guess we didn't talk too much about the actual book that I'm working on. It's not a fucking comic book commercial, just calm down. The book that I was working off of, The Lesser Key of Solomon. It was written by, I don't know if it was written, it might just have been like curated, restored, or whatever from S.L. McGregor Mathers, with contributions from Aleister Crowley. And this goes back to 1904. But in the copy that's in Sacred Text is www.sacred-text.com. You can just go there and do a quick search and find Lesser Key of Solomon, so you can get access to the whole book right here. It's a great resource. I really should see if they would somehow do commercials or something on the podcast. Anyhow, there's the preface, and then there's a preliminary evocation, which I read in 79. It was the cold open to 79. It's heavy metal, fucking guys. I fucking love it. But there's a chapter here before you get into this whole thing called the Initiated Interpretation of Ceremonial Magic. And there's another one called the Preliminary Definition of Magic. So I just wanted to kind of read through this Initiated Interpretation of Ceremonial Magic. The Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon. And this is written by a guy named, what's his fucking name? Oh, Boleskine House Foyers, NB. Boyskin House? Foyers, NB? I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's somebody's name or that's where he wrote it. Foyers, NB. I don't know. But he says, it is a lofty amusing to the student of magical literature, who is not quite a fool. It is rare is such combination to note the criticism directed at the Philistine against the citadel of his science. Truly, since our childhood has ingrained us not to only literally belief in the Bible, but also substantial belief in Alf Leia Waleia, which is the only adolescence can cure us. I guess that's some kind of mumbo jumbo for only adolescence can cure us. We were only too liable, and in the rush of energy of the dawning manhood to overturn roughly and rashly both these classics, to regard them both in the same level as interesting documents from the standpoint of folklore and anthropology and nothing more. Even when we learn that the Bible, by a profound and minute study of the text, may be forced to yield up quabalistic arcana of cosmic scope and importance, we are too often slow to apply similar restorative to the companion volume, even if we are the luck holders of Burton's veritable editions. To me, it remains to raise the Layla and Layla. This is the only only adolescence can save us, to its proper place once more. I'm not concerned to deny the objective reality of all magical phenomenon. If they are illusions, then are at least as real as many unquestioned facts of daily life. And if we follow Herbert Spencer, they are at least evidence of some cause. Now, this fact is our base. What is the cause of many illusions of seeking a spirit in a triangle of art? Every smarter, every expert in psychology will answer that cause lies in your brain. English children are taught that the universe lies in infinite space. Hindu children in the Akasha, which is the same thing. Those Europeans who go a little bit deeper learn from Fichte that the phenomenal universe is the creation of the ego. Hindus or Europeans studying under the Hindu gurus are told that the Akasha is meant the Chakashta. The Chakashta is situated in the third eye, i.e. in the brain. By assuming higher dimensions of space, we can assimilate this fact into realism. But we have no need to take so much trouble. The being true for the ordinary universe that all sense impressions are dependent on change in the brain, we must include illusions, which are, after all, sense impressions as much as realities are in the class of phenomenon dependent on brain changes. Magical phenomenon, however, come under a special subclass since they are willed and their cause is the series of quote real unquote phenomenon called the operations of ceremonial magic. These consist of 1. Sight, the circle, the square, the triangle, vessels, lamps, robes, implements, etc. Sound, the invocations. Smell, the perfumes. Taste, the sacraments. Touch, as under in mind, the combination of all these and reflection on their significance. These these unusual impressions produce unusual brain changes. Hence, their summary is of an unusual kind, and the projection back into apparently phenomenal world is therefore unusual. Herein, then, consists the reality of the operations and effects of ceremonial magic, and I conceive that the apology is ample, as far as the, quote, effects, unquote, refer only to those phenomenon which appear to the magician himself, the appearance of the spirit, his conversation, possible shocks from imprudence, and so on, even to ecstasy on one hand, and death or madness in the other. But can any of these effects described in this book Goetia be obtained? And if so, can you give a rational explanation for the circumstances? Say you so? I can, and I will. The spirits of the Goetia are proportions of the human brain. Their seals, therefore, represent Mr. Spencer's projected cube. Methods of stimulating or regulating those particular spots through the eye, the names of God are vibrations calculated to establish the following. General control of the brain, establishment of functions relative to the subtle world, control over the brain in detail, rank or type of spirit, and control of the special portion, the name of the spirit. The perfumes aid this through smell. Usually the perfume will only tend to control a large area, but there's attributions of perfumes to letters of the alphabet, enabling one by a Kabbalistic formula to spell out the spirit's name. And I need not enter into a more particular discussion of these points. Intelligent readers can easily fill in what is lacking. Then, I say, with Solomon, the spirit chimeries teaches logic, and I mean it. What I mean is those portions of my brain which subverse the logical facility may be stimulated to and developed by the following out of a process that is called the invocation of chimeries. And this is a purely materialistic rational statement. It is independent of any objective hierarchy at all. Philosophy has nothing to say, and science can only suspend judgment pending a proper and methodical investigation of the facts alleged. Unfortunately, we cannot stop there. Solomon promises that we can 1. Obtain information, 2. Destroy our enemies, 3. Understand voices of nature, 4. Understand treasure, and 5. Heal disease, etc. I have taken these 5 powers at random considerations of space forbid me to explain all. 1. Brings up facts from the subconscious. 2. Here we come to an interesting fact. It is curious to note The contrast between the noble means and the apparent vile ends of the magical rituals. The laters are disguises for sublime truth. To destroy our enemies is to realize the illusion of duality and excite compassion. Ah, Mr. Waite, the world of magic is a mirror wherein who seeks muck is muck. I believe he's talking about Waite from the Waite Rider, the guy who designed the Waite Rider tarot deck, which is by far the most popular tarot deck out there. A careful naturalist will understand much from the voices of the animals he has studied long. Even a child knows the difference between a cat's meowing and its purring. The faculty may be greatly developed. Business capacity may be stimulated, like, how can I get my listeners to rate and review my podcast? Abnormal states of the body may be corrected, and the involved tissues brought back to tone and obedience to current stated from the brain. So for all other phenomenon, there is no effect which is truly and necessarily miraculous. Our ceremonial magic finds down then to a series of minute, though the coarse empirical psychological experiments, and whoso will carry them through intelligently need not fear the result. I have all the health and treasure and logic I need, so I have no time to waste. There is a lion in the way. For me, these practices are useless, but for the benefit of others less fortunate, I give them to the world together with the explanation of an apology for them. I trust that this explanation will enable my students who have hitherto, by puerile objectivity in their view of the questions obtained, no results to succeed. And the apology may impress upon our scumful men of science that the study of Baculus should give place to that. So I just wanted to kind of wrap up with that. Even in 1904, this, he's not saying that, yeah, you're actually communicating with demons, but this guy's looking at it from a different kind of point of view, which is kind of like the same point of view that I deal with, that I have when I think of, tarot cards. That's a way, like the symbolism, the symbology, and the context of the questions and the interpersonal relationship that you have with, asking the infinite, the question that you're asking, lends a perspective that lets you kind of plumb your own self-conscious for these answers. If you've ever been in like to a psychiatrist or something, and you're kind of getting off track, and instead of engaging with the conversation, the therapist just looks at you. It's like this blank just look, and you think, is she mad? What the fuck is this look on her face? It's like if you're looking at C-3PO or something, you're just like, you can read anything you want into it, because it's blank. And on some level, that question, I think that it serves the same sort of function, obviously, like on a different level. So that's me. Like I said, what do I know? I'm just a writer with a podcast, and I'm trying to get people to rate and review it. So I'm John Towers. This is the Abercast episode 81. I'm signing off finally for the Lesser Key of Solomon episodes. Which seems like I've been doing this forever. It seems like I've been doing this episode forever. All right, so if any of you guys try this out or tune in to any of this, or if you guys get on Sacred Text and look into this demon summoning thing, this Goetic Magic. I am dying to hear from you if this has turned you on to this kind of thing. So please reach out to me and tell me. You could be anonymous. That's fine. That's fine, baby. Be anonymous.
Vienna, 1683. Today is September 11th, 1683. The mighty army of the Ottoman Empire, led by the savage and radical terror troops of the Dar al-Harb, surround the walled city of Vienna and begin a siege to break the golden apple of Europe and kill, enslave, or convert all of its inhabitants. The valiant citizens stand against the tyrannical army with the steadfast leadership of Count Ernst Rudiger von Stromberg, the help of the ever-living rebel Cyrus the Dead Guy, and the hopes of the faraway King Jan Sobieski III and his army of flying hussars. The Vienna 1683 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us. The Non-Standard Squad, 1944. World War II. 3 weird American soldiers are on a search and rescue mission into the oldest and darkest regions of Europe. A cursed, ever-living warrior, Cyrus the Dead Guy. An experimental warbot, Sergeant Lane McCord. An all-red axe, mysterious rogue with a demon-possessed arm, come face-to-face with an army of magically corrupted machine-obsessed elves, a magic hammer-wielding Norse Ubermensch, and a Nazi wizard who is a member of the ancient Dark Order of the Shining Hexagon. The Non-Standard Squad 1944 comic is available right now from Stigmata Studios at stigmatastudios.com and on indieplanet.us.
So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you had fun. I hope maybe you learned some useless bullshit. Or at least got you through a couple hours of your week or your day. Please call out for music. Please, I'm about to play some bullshit right now because I haven't got any music from anybody. So this is on you. And also, please remember to support the show if you can. Rate and review on iTunes or wherever you get it from. Tell a friend about it. I want to thank you guys for the record-breaking month we had last month. And I just want to do it again. I want to do it again, except I don't want to have to do fucking 8 shows in a month to fucking do it again. So, come on. People, love one another. Tell everyone about the Abercast that you know. Share it on your social media. Whatevs. Hit me up on any of the social media things. If you go to stigmatastudios.com, up on the upper left-hand corner, you'll find all the links to all my social media, and you can click there, drop me a line, let me know what you think about Goetia, what you think about magic circles, what you think about calling down demons to learn how to speak to dogs and become invisible. I want to know it all. Thank you guys for letting me babble passionately at you for these last few hours. I really do appreciate it. I really do. I feel like I'm blessed, but so there's that. Also, what are you guys doing? What are you doing? Write something, draw something, research something, record something. Do any or all of that. And remember, whatever you're looking for is right under your gnosis. And I will see you guys next week, probably with something a lot less dense than this. And now here's your shitty music, because no one will send me any to play. So here's that. Thank you. All right. I can't take it anymore. What the fuck? I can't. What? No. All right, that's it. See you next week. See you next week, fools.